Etsy AI is going nuts on handmade sellers. And what is this all about with Etsy's AI?
So, Scott, you may remember that back last fall, as of the time of recording this, there was what sellers refer to now as the AI mock-up Etsy mock-pocalypse, right? A lot of listings were getting taken down. And early reports over the last week or so from sellers, both in the forums, in our Facebook group, and places like e-commerce bites are coming in saying, hey, there's a lot of handmade crackdowns going on right now. And what appears to be happening is that the same issue that they had last year with their little listing flagging bot going rogue is happening again. And it appears to be mostly with truly handmade sellers, at least based on their self-reports. Right now, we don't know exactly what is happening at this point, but it seems like it's going after exclusively handmade sellers at this point. And the guess is it's another just weird little tweak about somebody not complying with the handmade policy violation. Most of the reports seem to be along the same lines of the early reports that we saw during the mock-up apocalypse back in last fall, where they're seeing their sites or their images rather on other sites. So somebody on AliExpress took their images from their handmade product on Etsy, and they're now selling it on Temu, Shein, AliExpress, something like that. And Etsy's image recognition is seeing that that image exists somewhere else. They're saying, hey, this couldn't possibly be handmade because this image exists somewhere else, and taking it down. It appears the thing that is even worse is that people who are doing appeals are being immediately rejected, and they're not being heard or even really looked at. And we've seen this in the past when these things tend to happen is you'll do an appeal. You'll spend all this time saying, hey, this is my design. This is when I posted it on Etsy. This is when it first showed up on Temu, Shein, Alibaba, AliExpress, wherever. And 1 minute later, you get a response from Etsy that says, hey, we've thoroughly reviewed your appeal request and it's denied. Now, we haven't heard anything official from Etsy at this point, but it does appear that's what's going on.
Yeah. So what's it saying here in the article though? So, I mean, can you scroll down? Is there anything more? Is there comments? Can we dig in here?
Yeah. So this particular article from e-commerce bites was like an email in from a user talking about it. And they said, sellers are doing what they can. They're showing receipts, and it doesn't appear to be making a difference in the appeal right now. So my suggestion would be, until we know more, I probably wouldn't even appeal those at this point, because and we've seen this a few times recently, like with the Father's Day debacle, where they misplaced a decimal point in the code, and people who wanted to give a $5 discount were giving a $50 discount. They did come back and make it right. But some of the people who tried to change it in the meantime got excluded from the sale because they were right up against the deadline. I would probably, and I know the gut reaction, and I think you would feel the same way, is like appeal, appeal, appeal.
Right.
Give it a minute. Etsy knows that this is going on. Let's let them figure it out for a minute and then go appeal, so that you don't end up in a whole bigger ball of wax than you need to be in. And everybody said, yeah, Etsy bots are going nuts, right? It's hard to get in touch with customer service. And what most people in the comments here and in the Etsy forums are saying is like, can we please get a way to reach out to like a human being that speaks the same language that we do and understand Etsy's terms of service? Yeah.
So I guess for anyone that's watching and they're wondering like, okay, so what does this mean? Like, if you're not handmade, probably don't have to worry about it, right? But there has been reports of people that aren't handmade that are also getting suspended, and they've been selling for years. The best advice that we can give you right now is to just try and being the squeaky wheel. Like, even though they might come back and give you a standard template that you've seen before, send another one. Send another email. Maybe go on their YouTube page. And I don't know if they'll see it, if they'll listen, but it's worth a shot. But you have to do something where you're going to get the attention of someone that you can actually speak to. And I would like to know in the comments, if this has happened to you, how did the experience go for you? What happened? Let us know in the comments. So this way here, if we can get enough people to, share their story, maybe someone will see it, and maybe we will get the attention of someone higher up that can help us get support. We've talked about this on numerous videos before. It is a problem. But this case, AI is a tool that they're using, obviously, but it's malfunctioning. And this isn't the first time. We've actually done other videos where the AI has went in and suspended listings that it shouldn't have suspended. So always try to be the squeaky wheel if you can. Try to stay positive, but really the best advice is try to get in touch with someone. And if you can't the first time, try again and again and again.
Well, and just by saying it's mostly affecting handmade sellers, right? Technically, everything on Etsy is handmade according to their definition. So if you are in print on demand, it's actually more likely that this will happen to you. And that's what we saw last fall, Scott, was we saw that the AI bot went after, and everybody's like, oh, they're getting rid of print on demand, or you can't use mockups. Well, what turned out to be the case seems to be something similar to what's happening now. Their image recognition went a little bit rogue and started flagging everything that was similar as not handmade. And the advice would be, okay, if you truly are a handmade seller, then just make sure your stuff is categorized correctly. If you're in the print on demand space and you are not listed as handmade with a production partner, meaning you didn't indicate your production partner, you're saying, I made the product, your listing is set up wrong, and you actually have bigger exposure to something like this. And that's what we really saw happening last fall, was people who didn't meet the handmade policy in most cases because their listing was set up incorrectly as a print on demand seller. If you're selling print on demand, you designed the product. You did not make the product. So make sure when you're setting up a print on demand listing that you're setting it up with production partner made this, I designed it in those settings. And if you do it that way, it'll eliminate a lot of your exposure to this. Obviously, right, for the truly handmade sellers who are being affected by this, we now can all see that there's no way to avoid this 100%. But there are some basic things we can do, making sure that our listings are set up correctly, making sure that we are complying with terms of service. It makes our appeal, once Etsy starts listening again, a lot more likely to be approved. And so when we are the squeaky wheel, we know we're on the right side of things. We know we have everything set up correctly. And we just have to focus on getting in touch with a human being where we can say, this is my design. Here's the evidence. Fix it. As opposed to giving them any reason to reject it beyond that auto reject button that their trust and safety team seems to really like to use.